What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Jumia Technologies, or Jumia Technologies. I think it'd be Jumia. If you're Spanish, you might say Jumia. Looking at this thing, oh yeah, and we're doing this at the request of Mr. Raw Guru Records. We're doing this for you, man. You're asking what I think of it now. My last video, and I think my only video that I've made on this was on August 17th. I was talking about this nice kind of setup, potential setup, I should say, that you have. Where you have this like Adam and an Eve kind of bottom, right? Maybe not, maybe that's not the Eve, but the Eve itself would be like a, okay, one way or another, what I'm trying to say is it'll be like a some kind of a double bottom. That's what we're looking for, right? Like a V bottom and then a nice like soft U bottom, Adam and Eve. And it might not be this big, it might be bigger, it might be smaller, who knows? But something that's more or less a double bottom of what we see here. But that was made in August 17th, and I did say that I think that we're going to go lower. And that was here. We did go up a little bit. We kind of held this range as resistance, and then we came down, right? I do think if we look at this thing on a weekly, you can see that we have a nice bearish Maru Bazoo. Generally, Maru Bazoos are a continuation of the bearish nature. That's how I looked at them, or how most people look at them. And a Maru Bazoo is defined basically by just like a completely red bar. There's no wicks. And I'm sure if you zoom in enough, you can find, and you see here's a tiny little wick. But you know, I'm not looking at it from this perspective. I'm using the weekly chart. I want to see more data, right? It's like this. That is a Maru Bazoo right there. If you fine tune any candle, I'm sure it's very, very nigh impossible to have a true Maru Bazoo. But I think that is that. And generally, again, you wouldn't bottom on a Maru Bazoo. You would find this would mark continuation to the downside. But I was looking this up on the pattern site. By the way, if you guys don't know, the patternsite.com here, this is here, I'll just show you what the front page looks like. It looks like this, right? This is a website made by a very well-known trader in the space. He's been doing this for a very long time, several decades. And he posts his analysis and stuff. He updates this thing regularly. I mean, weekly updates below 9/22/23. It's the 25th now. He's a very old man that has made some books on trading. He's definitely recorded his fair bit. I think he has the most historical data for trading patterns out of like any human being alive, and he leaves it here for free on the patternsite.com. If you're new to trading, if you're old to trading, this is a great resource to use if you don't know about it. Or if you do know about it, maybe you forgot about it, and you know it's been a while since you've used it or something. It's always good to kind of check in. I'm going here to the black Maru Bazoo. Black means red. He uses black and white. I use red and green. A lot of people use red and green. Some people use black and white or other colors, whatever. I thought that the Maru Bazoo was actually a very, very bearish candle, but apparently from this guy, he's got a lot of experience, man. He would say that, here we go, theoretical performance, it is a continuation candle, right? Tested performance, continuation 53% of the time. So that's really, it's like a coin flip, right? That's like flip a coin. Maybe this is the bottom. I don't think it is. I think lined up with other things, it can be a better indicator. But like this Maru Bazoo here, it's a smaller one, but it marked continuation here. Maybe if you found a chart where it's had Maru Bazoos, whether it was to the green side. I just lost you guys. I don't know, maybe. Nope, looks like I'm fine. My camera glitched out for whatever reason, but if you find a chart where it has Maru Bazoos that are fake outs, then maybe in that chart, statistically speaking, it would be more likely. Where in this chart, you know, the Maru Bazoos are not fake outs. Though to be fair, this is a pretty bullish candle and then flips to the downside, kind of a fake out in itself. I like to look for stuff like that. You know, like do charts like to psych you out, or do they stay true to their nature more or less? This one looks like it's got a couple psych outs in it for sure. But anyways, the reason why I'm bearish on this right now, my last video I made was on August 17th. Again, I was basically saying that I think we have lower to go. I do expect us to form some kind of double bottom. From bottom to top here, this 1272 is right at 213. If we put a line right at it, yeah, something like that, like right there. That lines up very well with this previous bottom here. This low is actually at 215, so it's 2 cents. This white line is 2 cents below that line, but basically right at the same place, right? It's like a 1% difference or something. It's not even a 1% difference. So being that we do have a Maru Bazoo, a bearish, inherently bearish candle, but really it's neutral apparently from what Bulkowski tells us. But generally, I mean, most people would interpret this as a bearish candle, being that we broke out of this range here where we had support, right? This was our kind of like flat based support area for a little bit here. We broke through it very convincingly. And the 1272, we're in this like free fall, middle of nowhere's land from bottom to top, where you're between your 100 line, this little gray line, and the 1272 extension. Generally, I would expect, I mean, like, I don't use the word guarantee too often, but like I would almost guarantee that you would get a touch onto this line, if not potentially going further. Now, again, this would promote a very like uniform double bottom, but can you go a little bit lower and things still look fine? Sure, you can have a slightly lower low than that. You know, it can be like a double bottom of sorts. Maybe you close your week here, but you wick all the way down here and come back up, and it has like a fake out to the downside, something like that. But what I'm trying to say is that the 1618 from here, we're not that far away from this 1272, but we are a long ways away from the 1618, and I think that this area should be taken into account for sure, because we really could go all the way down there. But let's look at some other stuff and see if we can kind of confirm with this 1272, besides the fact that that is at the current all-time low. Get rid of this line here. You know what? Maybe we'll bring it back and we'll get rid of the fib. Maybe that's what we'll do. Get rid of the fib. Remember, that is the 1272, right? If we zoom out here, we're looking at this kind of downtrend on the daily. I don't know, man. Maybe I would draw it like this. Come on, if I can get it. Something like that, right? I don't know. Maybe we do go below this line. Maybe it's more like this, low to low, and still we would go below that line. Maybe low to this low, still, yeah, still we would go below that line. So that's not really encouraging. On another note, I feel like it does look like we are like losing our velocity to the downside, right? You can see how if we have that flat line, just that flat line, this line here, I'll just keep drawing them actually. I'll show you what I mean instead of talking poorly. From low to low here, very steep incline. From low to low here, not as steep of an incline, is it? From low, oh, that's not the low. I'm gonna have to move that to low there. Come on now. It's getting less steep. You can see these lines are getting less steep, and kind of implying that we might see this U kind of shaped recovery, which would be nice. But I do think that it goes lower regardless. Does it bounce off this area? That is the question at hand. You wanted to know what my thoughts were. Now, I still hold the idea that we could get a double bottom. I think it looks good for that. You are at very decreasing levels of volume. It would be beautiful, man, if you had like high volume at your low, you came out and you just started building volume up. It would be very sad. It'd be a very, very sad day for this thing if you bounced off this area and you got your hopes up, and all it did from there was promote a lower high, right? If you came down, bounced up, and then boom, you just formed another lower high in this series of lower highs. That wouldn't be that encouraging. So again, just because you bounce from this area does not mean you're in the clear, though that is kind of the thing that I'm thinking right now. I do think that one way or another, this is your all-time low. It is in line with your 1272. You are at very low points in volume, and you are almost oversold on the weekly. You have the potential to come down and bounce off the weekly or into the weekly oversold zone, and that would also just be very, very encouraging. So not too strong of a weekly looking RSI. On the daily basis, you are oversold right now. You're actually getting into it, right? I want to take away all these lines now and just see on the daily. Volume is picking up a little bit, though it's not the most volume you've seen, but it is picking up relative to like this little bit here as you're moving down, so that is encouraging, but it's not a whole lot, and you're not moving with ferociousness down. You know, you definitely cleanly broke out of this range, but you really might have a soft landing here. I don't know. Let me see on the 1 hour. I hate looking at 1 hours on charts on like stocks and stuff like that, but some people, man, make a lot of money using the shorter term time frames. For day trading, it's essential, I think. But you do have bullish divergence. That might be why we're getting this little move up right here, kind of a relative double bottom-ish looking thing. Maybe you move up a little bit in the very, very immediate terms. But again, I do think that you go down at least to that 213 level. It is possible. I want to say, if I haven't said it already, I'll say it again if I have said it already. from bottom to top here, the extension is at 213. You might not hit that line. You can actually bounce right above it, and that's okay. There might be so much anticipation in this area or there might be so much buying pressure that it's kind of front ran, not just because it's a 1272, a pretty significant 1272 if you ask me, but it's also at the bottom, the previous low. So there could be people with their eyes on this thing that buy, and the real tell of this would be if we saw an increase of volume that we haven't seen on the weekly in quite some time, right? Like if we saw something that was bigger than all these little spikes here on the weekly, maybe even bigger than this, and maybe a bullish engulfing candle, that would definitely, in my opinion, mark the bottom. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. What would be definite at that point is if you got that and you broke above. I'm drawing poor lines here. Let's just do it right. And if you broke above this descending trend line here, something like that. So something like over here. I don't know. Yeah, that would be the real knife in the heart for this thing to go lower. Actually, to send it up higher would be if we broke this line here. So it is possible, and I do think that you go a little bit lower for the time being. You are at $2.44. 213 is only 31 cents away, right? So, no, is it? Yes, it's 31 cents away. So that's not too far, but that is what, like a 10% drop, or not even like a 5%. No. Let's see. Okay, it is like a 10% drop. Sorry, can't do math right now. Like a 12% drop actually. Something like that could happen, and I would expect that. But from there, we could talk very bullish things. But it just depends how we react. So I guess I'm beating around the bush here. How the question was asked originally that inspired this video was, what do I think about it now? Implying, do I think differently now than I did on August 17th when I was saying I think that we might get this double bottom? I think the same. I don't think differently. I think that we still might get this double bottom. But just because I think that doesn't mean that it's 100% going to happen. I would say it's like maybe, I don't know. At this point in time, I'd say it's like 50-50. You could go up, you could go down. It's hard. It's really hard to say. It's an idea. It's something to look for. But I think there would be signs that we are going to go lower before we do. I would expect we get a bounce off of that area, but a rejection again off of this area, or even off of lower areas, like previous areas of support. If we come back up and find resistance on this line and then start making our way back down toward that low, I wouldn't think that double bottom's in anymore. But there are a lot of bullish kind of things going on, especially with like the fact that this is kind of curving out. You have this V bottom and it's curving out. It would look so perfect for a double bottom. So I mean, declining volume's dying off. They say that bear markets end, or like you stop going down when volume dies off, or something like that. I forget what the saying is. I'm killing it here, but it is common. It is very common to find your lows on high volume. But look at this, right? You found your low here on very low volume, relatively speaking. You started gaining volume as you moved out of it, and then yes, you end your top with less volume as well. So just looking for that overall move. Same kind of idea here. Losing volume as you're going lower means there's less interest in this thing going lower. Where's the interest going to come back? Probably whenever you move this thing higher. So I'm just kind of mumbling and rambling at this point. All I'm trying to say, guys, is I do think it goes lower. I am looking for support on this 213, 210, 215 area. If it goes a little bit lower, it's not the end of the world. If it bounces off of that area, it's not game on. I think it might be a really good bounce for a swing trade or a temporary trade. Like from here to like this potential lower high, it might even be good up to another high. But it's hard to say whether or not this will be an official bottom, right? It might just be another lower low in a series of lower highs and lower lows that takes us further below this line, even down to $1 or something like that. That's possible as well. We could see ultimately price play off of this extension here and go down to 83 cents or 25 cents, something like that. I don't think that's going to happen personally. I really don't think that's going to happen. But I don't know. Time will tell. So right now, I guess that's where I'll leave off. I think that this thing has very decent potential at bouncing off of its previous all-time lows and then turning around from there. But the real the real validation to that statement, I think, will be when we get new highs. Okay, not new all-time highs, but higher highs is what I should say. We've been getting lower highs and lower lows since February of 2021. If we can change that, that would be a significant step in changing the whole trend of this right here. Pair that with, if we get volume increasing, I think that'd be a good thing. So that's where I'm going to leave off. If you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up. I appreciate all the likes. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great too. Got nothing else to say, so take care, everybody. Bye-bye.